Hi everyone, welcome back to the Sports Breakdown once again. It's been a very very long time since I've been back, and I do apologize. I've been pretty much very busy over the past few years, but I mean the past year, but still I'm back, and we're gonna upload videos for sure. I'm a bit free right now, so I'm hoping to post more content as Sri Lanka cricket. Mainly, I'm going to focus on cricket and especially on Sri Lanka cricket because we have ICC tournament coming up in 2026, and especially it's just 6 or 7 months away from a 2020 World Cup. And I think I didn't upload much since the 2024-2020 World Cup. I do apologize, but it is what it is, and here we are. So today I have a special guest joining us. We have Prad Navaratham, who was a ex cricket analyst for Sri Lanka cricket in terms of both the limited overs, and if you can remember, especially with the fielding boards, especially during the 2022 Asia Cup, especially him and Chris Silverwood holding the poster of the fielding boards, the 1D, the 2D, especially the fielding setups. So that was very prominent for all of us, including me myself, because I'm a huge cricket fan. So it's an honor to have Prad on my channel finally, and I really thank you so much, Prad, once again for accepting my invite.
No, you're welcome. Pleasure to be here. I know we've been trying to tee this up for a while now. Apologies, I couldn't make it earlier, but
Yeah.
yes, finally found the time.
All good, all good. All right. Just before going straight into the topic, I just want to know a bit of background about you, like especially because in terms of like cricket analysts for Sri Lanka cricket in limited overs, I just want to know like what exactly was your role, even though it was cricket analyst, like what sort of aspects that you had to do within Sri Lanka cricket. If you don't mind sharing, if possible. Yeah.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, so I started with Sri Lanka cricket back in 2020, towards the end of 2020, if I remember, around November 2020. And my main role within Sri Lanka cricket at the time was I was brought in by the chief cricket officer at the time, Mr. Jerome Jayaratne, I think was still there. He was the one who hired me, and he at the time brought me to really redevelop and relook at how SLC use analytics. That they felt that we were behind when it came to analytics, and he kind of gave me a free rein around how we look at analytics, what we need to do going forward, and how we approach it. So initially, my goal, I wasn't working with the team. I was pretty much just heading up the brain center and the performance analysis side. And my first goal was to look at how we're doing things currently at the time and introduce new methods. So that was the first piece I did, and I introduced new technologies, new ways of looking at things, new processes, new systems. That was first, and then subsequently in 2021, obviously we had COVID and all that. I was brought into the team for one of the series. I think it was the India 2021, July 2021 series, my first series with the team, where I did the one days and the T20s. And following that onwards, that was, I think, the introduction of Dasun as well as captain. And following that, the team management felt it was they wanted to keep me on with the team for all the white ball series.
Exactly. Okay. All right. I just want to know in general, because you were part of that Asia Cup 2022 campaign, and especially Sri Lanka winning the Asia Cup 2022, which no one predicted. I think no one even expected Sri Lanka to even go to the finals of that year. I think, if I'm not mistaken, even Star Sports, the analysts, and even the ex-cricketers just gave Sri Lanka 1% chance of winning the Asia
Yeah.
Cup. So I
Yeah.
just want your insights on the story behind, like how, like, because you work behind the scenes for Sri Lanka winning the Asia Cup 2022 and all that. I just
Yeah.
want to know your experience on that in general. Like, how was it? How did Sri
Yeah.
Lanka manage to do it? Yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
just
look,
yeah,
it wasn't entirely a surprise for us. I mean, we never kind of went in with a plan saying, oh, we don't think we're going to compete or anything like that. For us, it was a build up, right? We were
yeah,
consistently building. So if you got to take it a step back behind from that. We first started really working on this on our T20 game back in 2021. We slowly started working with that. I think with Mickey Arthur, he had a few plans that we were working on, in small plans. So for example, initially we were targeting a dot ball rate in different phases of the game. The middle phase, how are we going? How do we overcome that against different type of bowlers? So we started with back in 2021. Those plans then continued even after Mickey left, because Mahela was still there and Mahela continued to implement those plans. He came on board, I think, towards the end of 2021, early 2022. And then I felt in 2022, we started to really pick up some momentum as a team. Prior to the Asia Cup as well, we had the Australia series, where Australia came to Sri Lanka. We lost the T20 series 2-1. But we still outplayed them in that last T20. And this was a full-strength Australian team. It wasn't a second 11 or a B side. This is a full strength team. I know people may say it was that Daswan's magical innings, and it was, where he scored 54 of 17. However, it still it took a lot of work, and then we started turning the tide even prior to that, even in one-day cricket. If you go back, even now they talk about how Sri Lanka is undefeated at home for the last, I think, 2 years. That started back in 2021 when we started this project. People saying now we're winning, yes, but you actually got to go back. We've been undefeated since 2021 July, and at home against multiple teams, including India, South Africa, Australia, and even again India have come back recently and we've beaten them. And so we started the work back then. So when we went to the Asia Cup, that first game, we were blown off the park by Afghanistan when they rolled us for, I think it was 108 or something, and they took us down. But at that point, we didn't, we had zero expectations on us as a team, in the sense that we knew we were just going to take it one game at a time. We had Bangladesh coming up next, and we just said we're just going to take it one game at a time. And I think we had our plans. We just trusted our plans and we trusted our strategy. And I think that was the biggest thing, right? When you go into any game or any tournament, if you have a strategy or you have a plan in place, confidence matters, yes, but you can also gain confidence from your plan and from your strategy. Whereas if you go in without a strategy or without a plan, you can tend to kind of go into your following game more relying on the confidence of how you played in the previous game. And you had a bad game, especially if you look at that Afghanistan game where we got bowled out for 108 and then Afghanistan chased it down in 13 or 14 overs, whatever it was. If we're relying on that, the boys would have gone with a lot of not much confidence at all, very low confidence, against the Bangladesh game. But that's not how we approached it. We approached it saying, okay, Afghanistan game's done, right. What was our next plan for the Bangladesh game? So we took it game by game. Every game we had very clear plans, very, very clear plans. We had plans for every batter. We had plans for every bowler in the opposition. So every one of our players knew what their role was. They knew if they were bowling against a particular opposition batter, they knew what they needed to do. If our batsmen were going in, they knew what to expect from the opposition bowlers. So on and so on. So we knew that, and then we would just take one game at a time. We took Bangladesh. Yes, it became close, but we backed ourselves to chase it. We chased it down. Then we went to the next game. Even that first Super 8s or whatever, the Super 4, whatever game that we played against Afghanistan. I'm not sure if you can remember. I don't think we started well. Afghanistan they batted first and they got off to a good start again. We didn't, at no time did we panic. We didn't panic. And I think we didn't panic was because we had our plan. The Gurbaz came out going hard, I remember. And at that point, we could have panicked. We didn't panic. We kept strong and we just backed our plans. We got Gurbaz out, and then it was a matter of just backing our plans. And then and as we kept backing our plans, the players also kind of gained confidence. They were seeing that the plans are working, and then they'd go to the next wicket or they'd go to the next player. And we just kept doing that every game, and every game we'd get. So then we got past Afghanistan. Then came to India, same thing. We got past India. Then by the game against Pakistan had come, now the boys had confidence in themselves and they had confidence in the plan. So when Pakistan came, we blew them away as well. And then even in the game against in the final, the game against Pakistan in the final, even that game, if you remember, I think.
We didn't do well at all. I remember.
We started slow, but we had, I think we lost a few wickets, but Banu and a few other guys came. Banu and Hasaranga came together first to put on a partnership. Then Banu and Charman came together and put on another partnership. And it took us the one. And then even when we were bowling, they were only 1 or 2 wickets down by the 8th or 9th over. And once again, we didn't panic because it was going according to plan. So we just had to trust ourselves. We backed our plan to deliver, and we delivered, and then it worked out. So that is how we kind of approached that Asia Cup. We just took it one game at a time, and we trusted our plans on how to deliver.
That's very true on that. I just want to ask Prad, like, how was it working with Chris Silverwood? Because it would have been, because a lot of people were saying it was like a huge transition from Mickey Arthur, because Mickey Arthur brought that success. He was the one probably who, like, eyed on players like Pathum Nissanka and Charith Asalanka, like, made them to become the players that they are. I think Mickey Arthur should be given credit to probably getting the eye, but then Chris Silverwood, he came just after him losing out on the England cricket job, being the head coach of England. So how was it working with Chris Silverwood in general? Because Chris Silverwood, yes, he might have not been liked that much compared to Mickey Arthur, because Mickey Arthur was sort of the person who has to take the credit in finding this place. But Chris Silverwood, like, probably like gel the players, I would feel like, according to my opinion. I feel like he had that trust within the Sri Lankan players or whatever. But how was it working with Chris Silverwood in general?
Look, I mean, it's entirely my opinion. I think Chris was great. Both Mickey and Chris were great. I worked with both of them. Mickey, like, and you summarize it correctly. So Mickey was, helped identify a lot of these, most of, especially Pathum. I think a lot of the other guys, Pathum and Mahesh Deekshana, Hasaranga, was all under Mickey. Charith and them started coming towards the end of Mickey's tenure and towards Chris's tenure. Both were great. They both have very different ways of approaching things. Chris came with a very analytical way of approaching the white ball game, especially the T20 game, which is why we implemented those coded messages. That was something he did at England, which was successful. We implemented it here with Sri Lanka, and that was successful as well. We got results from it. A lot of people felt, that it's a different conversation, but a lot of people felt the coded messages was us kind of trying to control what the players are doing, and we shouldn't be doing it. But that wasn't what the goal was. All the coded messages were very simply strategies, plans that we had put in place, and we were kind of suggesting what were the plans that the code would relate to a particular plan. And so whoever the bowler or Dasun at the time, the captain, would see it and go, okay, that's a possible plan I can implement here. And it is up to still the captain and the bowler to go ahead and implement that. That's all it was. So, so working with Chris was also was quite good. He was quite advanced in the way he approached the game. I quite enjoyed it, and he kind of gave us all our freedom as support staff to do our job. So it was quite good working with Chris and Mickey.
Yeah. Also, I want to get your thoughts also on working with players as well and getting their technical aspects. As a lead analyst, how was it like working with cricketers like Dasun Shanaka and Asalanka, Nissanka, Kusal Mendis? Especially, a lot of criticism had come to Kusal Mendis that time, especially after the England incident, where the smoking incident, where Kusal Mendis and Dikwela, all of them got involved. Especially Kusal Mendis was the only one of the three who came and still is in the national team right now. So especially Kusal Mendis and all these batters, Bhanuka Rajapaksa and all, how was it working along with them? Like, did they listen to whatever you said? And like, as analysts, like, I just want to know like the insights on that, if possible. Yeah.
Look, I think one of the biggest skills you need as an analyst is nearly as much as data analytical skills. The next biggest skill you need is communication and people skills. Because when you are an analyst, the biggest part of your role is working with different people, not just the players, but the coaches. And you need to learn how to communicate. And every player, every coach as well is different. So some players and coaches are very pro data, pro analysis. They want to know more. They'll keep coming. They'll have lots of questions. And then there's some are complete opposite, that they just want to back their natural skill set and stuff. But the one thing I can say about all the Sri Lankan players, every single one of them that I worked with, was they all saw value in what we were doing or what I was doing, right? So not a single one of them thought, oh, it's no point talking to Prad. Every single one of them at least appreciated what I had to say, and they would take, and I'll give you a perfect example is Nuwaindu Hasaranga, right? Nuwaindu Hasaranga is, is the number one bowler in the world at the moment in T20. He is a kind of person, it is a perfect example. He likes to back his natural talent to get the batsman out, right? He's 100%, he likes to back his talent. However, he still values, with me, he still valued my input heavily. So when I was with the team, he was one of the guys that would go to all the younger players and say, go sit down with Prad and see what he has to say about the opposition. He would go to every one of those players and tell them, Prad's in the team, go talk to him. Go talk to him, he'll push it. But with me, he wouldn't spend too much time sitting and wanting to know exact plans. Okay, where am I bowling to this guy? Where am I bowling to that guy? No, he just want general plans. And I will sit with him and I will do the video, and I will do with not just him, with all the spinners, where we'll do general video, general analysis on the opposition batters, where they're weak, where they're strong. But he wouldn't want me to go too much in detail with him. But he still saw a lot of value that he would go to a lot of the junior players and he'll tell, okay, you need to spend time with Prad. You need to go talk to Prad. So so it's really about, they saw the value with every single one of those players. Even Kusal Mendes. I worked with Kusal as captain when I was with LPL with Dambulla Aura. He was my captain. Sanat, the current head coach of Sri Lanka, was the head coach of Dambulla. I worked with both of them. Both of them were very open. Sanat is one of the most open coaches I've worked with when it comes to data. He would always value my inputs. Same with Kusal. Kusal would always find time. So when I was with Dambulla Aura, the number of times that Kusal would call me and say, Prad, can you come and talk to me and tell me a little bit about the opposition? Where's the weaknesses? Where are the matchups? And he'll just want me to tell that. Whether he used it or not was up to him, but he at least still wanted that. So every one of those players were keen. And I think the biggest thing, the reason that was the case was because they saw the value in the analysis. So I wasn't just putting numbers for the sake of putting numbers. It wasn't just, you go to these players or coaches and you say, okay, the average score is, 160, go and score 160. They don't see value in that. They'll probably want to take you serious. They'll just say, okay, thanks, but there's nothing I can do about that. I'm just trying to get to 160, right? We weren't doing that. Our analysis was very targeted at saying, okay, average score is 160. This is who the opposition bowlers are. This is how we're going to achieve the 160. This is how we're going to build it. So it was a lot of information, a lot of data that they saw the work, and then it was up to them what they take. So they appreciated that. So a lot of the players appreciated that, and that was something that I think we were quite fortunate for, was that the players appreciated the value that we put in. And they took value out of it. So
yeah, and touching on Hasaranga also, since you were touching on Hasaranga as well, I just want to know, because still I feel like he's a power hit, and I've seen at number 7 sometimes he did really well in the Asia Cup, especially in the finals and all that. But even right now, I feel like even in 50 overs he has that batting ability with him, but I just think for some reason he doesn't have that consistency. In my opinion, I feel like in domestic he plays so well, in terms of batting in limited overs, but he doesn't implement that sort of consistency in his batting. Even in IPL, he was struggling with RCB as well. He was promoted to number 5. He was used as a floater as well, if I'm not mistaken, to number 5 in certain occasions, but he really didn't utilize it. So what's the reason behind this? Because he was batting number 4, number 5, is it in terms of his confidence? So
it kind of varies. So with Hasaranga, you got to remember, we tend to, not just Hasaranga, with any batter, especially in that sort of role where it's a hitter, a floater role, we tend to benchmark these players based on runs scored, right? As much as that is a benchmark, we can't solely rely on it, because it depends on the situation of the game at the time. Right. With Hasaranga, using him as a floater, or whatever position the team, or whichever team, whether it's the IPL, whether it's the national team, want to use him, it comes down to the situation at the time and the goal that we're asking him to achieve. So sometimes it might be a case of, okay, we just need to get going pretty fast. We need to up our run rate. That is a 50-50 call, right? So if we're going to send Hasaranga in at that situation, we have to be prepared for 2 possible outcomes there. One is it will deliver the outcome we're looking for, which is Hasaranga comes in, hammers 20 off 6 or whatever, and gets out and going, but it does the job. It achieves the objective we wanted to achieve, which was to up the run rate in the 6 balls that he faced, right? Obviously, the other outcome is it fails. He comes, he tries to get going, he gets out from 0, from 3, and he's out, right? But we can't then put it on Hasaranga then for failing in that situation.
Exactly.
We have to understand his role determines that and demands that's the way it's going to be a 50-50 call. So it really, when it comes to Hasaranga's batting, it's about just understanding and knowing what are we trying to achieve out of it, and then subsequently having a backup. So this is the other thing. We tend to have one-dimensional plans. So, for example, like you said with Hasaranga, we want to use him as a floater. We want to use him as a hitter. Great. We'll send him in as a hitter. My question is, what is our backup plan if Hasaranga fails as a hitter? Right? We don't have that plan at the moment. We seem to have that one-dimensional plan. So, okay, let's send Hasaranga up here to try and get the run rate going. Great, no problem. It's a good idea. Let's send him. Okay, he failed. What's our backup plan? Our backup plan tends to be, okay, it failed. Let's now go back to our normal batting lineup, which then we're really doubling down on our failure. Now, the reason we're sending Hasaranga up to get the run rate going is because our run rate is already slow. Right? Now, if he fails, we're going to go back to the stock standard batting lineup. We're really doubling down on failure. The reason why I'm saying that is now not only have we failed with Hasaranga, we also have lost an additional hitter down the order, and we're going back to whoever was going to come in at 5 or 6 or 7, whatever the positions that, depending on where Hasaranga is coming. And we're trying to build up on that further, right? So we're doubling down. So doubling down is fine, but we have to have a plan. Okay, if Hasaranga goes in and fires, we'll get us to the 170. If Hasaranga fails, what is our alternative plan? Are we going to go to 150, 160? Who's going to take us there? What is our alternative plan? So I just think we're not quite clear on what's our role. And I think just unlocking Hasaranga as a batter, if that's what you're trying to do, it comes down to how we want to use him, right? It comes down to when I say how I want to use him, what is the plan? I'll give you an example. We used him going back to the 2021 World Cup against Ireland when he came and he scored 77. We sent him up at 4 or 5. Now, I'll tell you the big reason why we sent him at 4 and 5 for that game was because we know after the 6th over, Ireland didn't have any out-and-out real quick bowlers to trouble Hasaranga, and they didn't have a leg spinner to spin the ball away from Hasaranga. And we knew Hasaranga back then was very strong against the ball that spins in, which is the off-spinner. And Ireland had 2 off-spinners. So we knew from over 7 to 16, they had to somehow or other bowl minimum 4 overs of spin, minimum. If they didn't, they're going to have to bowl spin in the last 4 overs, which they won't do. We knew that. So it was a gamble, but we took that chance and we said, you know what? Let's throw Hasaranga and see what happens. And we threw him up the order, and he absolutely took them apart. He took their bowling attack apart. But you see what I mean there? It was a plan. It wasn't just sending Hasaranga in because, let's just go and let's ask him to hit a few balls and see what happens. It's not that. It was a targeted plan why we were sending Hasaranga out. So you can't blame Hasaranga as much because the Hasaranga can only deliver the role that we've planned.
Exactly.
So it works hand in hand.
I totally understand that. But do you think like he struggles like with his workload because he's like as a spinner also he's a brilliant spinner as well, like balancing as an all-rounder, like I mean in the order of like the playing 11, like do you like in the playing 11, like do you usually like it depends on the pitch and all that, right? In the conditions at the end of the day, whether you go with 6 batters and 5 bowlers or whether you go with 7 batters and 4 bowlers, whether you go with exactly. So and you would want to have like 2 all-rounders in that playing 11 also in the 2020. So what's over that like according like because of Shanaka, Hasaranga, like these power hitters like Shanaka, Chamika, and even Hasaranga, even Banuka coming at 5, like the 5, 6, 7. Like do you guys want like usually like how do you assess like the all-rounders that you take in, or even like the in terms of like the batting order, like in terms of like the finishing roles?
Look, it comes. Look, I'll answer your first question first. Do I think it's a workload issue? It's not. In T20, you can't consider workload really being an issue. You're bowling 4 overs, you're batting 10 to 20 balls max. If that's a workload issue, that is not a workload issue. That becomes a fitness issue. And if it's a fitness issue, that's a different conversation altogether. So it's not workload. That's one, right? Especially a player like Hasaranga, if you're going to be clear with him and tell him, look, as part of your role, you're going to be a floater, which he enjoys, by the way. There's no workload issue. I think he's understanding that he knows he might have to go up, bat, and have to bat 30, 40 balls, maybe the rest of the innings, and then come in bowl 4 overs. That's not an issue. I think Hasaranga can handle that. So in terms of that, it's not an issue. But answering your question about, looking at the team combination, whether you go 2 all-rounder, 7, 4, 6, 5, 5 who's batting fast, all that. Look, you can't. This is what I said even in my previous podcast with the Murillian, right? You cannot have one recipe that suits every game.
Okay.
Right? It is not possible, not just for Sri Lanka, for any team in the world, whether it's a franchise team, whether it's India, whether it's Australia, whoever it is, you cannot have one set 11 that is going to win you every game everywhere in the world. And one set combination, it's not going to work like that. That's not how cricket works, especially not T20 cricket, right?
All right.
You need to be flexible. So how we built the team back in 2022, and unfortunately we couldn't continue with it because for whatever reason, they decided to blow it all up. But how our plan to build the team was, we had roles. So you'd have the opening roles who are our plans for that. Then you have the middle order, which are 3, 4, who are our plans for that. Then you're 5, 6, 7, who are your possible players and plans for that. And then you're 8, 9, 10, 11, who are your possible players and plans for that. Then depending on the opposition we're playing against. So for example, I talked about the island game. The island game, we knew they only had off spinners. So off spinners, we had to say, okay, we had to bring down our left-handers, or at least our left-handers who are weak against the ball spinning away, and maybe play an extra right-hander, or utilize Hasaranga higher up the order, and then maybe unlock another batter, right? So it depends. So you play against a Bangladesh who have a weakness against that skidding, slinging action against Thushara. Well, you're probably wanting to play Thushara and Patirana. So it really, you know what I mean? So it depends on the play. You play against a team that has a lot of right-handers. You probably want to play 2 players that can spin the ball away. Maybe not necessarily 2 leg spinners, but maybe a leg spinner and a left arm spinner, like a Welalage and a Hasaranga. So you need to have those roles clear. It's not about a combination. It's not about saying, okay, 6-5 will win you every game, or 7-4 will win you every game, or playing Hasaranga at 7 and Shanak at 6 and Banaka Rajpaksa at 5 is going to win you every game. It doesn't work like that. It comes down to, so if we're playing against, the likes of a quick attack that we think that's going to take away, that's a risk to our top order, maybe you're going to play an extra batter. So you want to play 7-4. Right? Yeah. But at the same time, do you play the extra? You have to then also analyze opposition batters and against our bowlers and get that balance right. So, you know what I mean? It really comes down to per game basis. And that's how we approached 2022. I'm not sure if you remember that Asia Cup. When we won the Asia Cup, we had 3 lefties at 3, 4, 5.
Oh, yeah.
Right? The biggest reason we did that was we looked at the Asian teams. Every Asian team, main wicket taker in the middle overs to target the 3, 4, 5 was a leg spinner. You look at Afghanistan was Rashid Khan, India was Chahal, Pakistan was Shadab Khan, and Imad Wasim, left armer. Right? Every Asian team, the target was to spin it, to bowl the spinning away in the middle overs. So Chris Silverwood and the coaching staff and me, we would sit down and we would say, this is... So I remember the conversation I had with Chris. I told Chris, let's play the 3 lefties because it will force them to delay when they bowl the left armers. And if you go back and you look at those games, Rashid Khan, Shadab Khan and Chahal, they never came on to bowl that 6th, 7th over when they normally would. They were pushed out to the 9th, 10th, 11th, 12th. And what happened was, if they're pushed to the 11th, 12th, they're suddenly forced to bowl a fast ball in 6, 7, 8 or an off spin in 5, 7, 8, which then opens up overs at the end. So if now a fast ball is bowling an extra over in the 8th over or the 7th over, he can't bowl in the 18th and 19th over. Right? So it's about a game of chess. So see what I mean? So now we can think about it now and we can say, okay, we should go back to playing 3 lefties. No, you shouldn't go back to playing 3 lefties. You should go back to seeing which team we're playing against, what are their weaknesses, and build the team accordingly to that.
Exactly. Also, Prad, I just want to talk about after the Asia Cup. Obviously, we were supposed to play the qualifiers, and we played against Namibia, and I think that was one of the worst losses I would feel ever as a Sri Lanka cricket fan. Even for me, I think we played in Kardinia Park, obviously in Geelong. I don't know what happened in that match, but to be honest, I think. I mean, you were part of the team, if I'm not mistaken, still as analyst. So what do you think went wrong for Sri Lanka in that match against Namibia? Do you think it's because of the matchups that happened against the Namibian bowlers especially, or what really happened?
I don't think it was the matchups as such with our bowlers. I just think we executed badly on the day, to be very frank with you, I just think we executed badly. Don't get me wrong, we had matchups with our bowlers that we executed well. Where we lost was in our batting. I felt we lost the game in our batting. We could have won the game with our batting. I would have. I can't remember back. I have to go back through my notes and check. I don't have it in front of me at the moment. But in hindsight, and hindsight's a beautiful thing now. But against a weaker team, an associate team, I would like to always chase. I would always like to chase, regardless of the pitch, right? Because you have so much more experience. I'd like to put them under the pressure, and I think Namibia won the toss, if I'm right, and they chose to chase. We wanted to bowl first, if I was right as well, and we lost the toss. That was fine, but the toss is a toss, right? You can't control it. So let's just say we still should have delivered. And I think I'm batting that. Kardinia Park is also. I remember this. Kardinia Park is also a very different ground to a normal cricket ground. It's a football ground, so it's rectangular in nature. So it has certain pockets that are very long, right? So if you think on those rectangular, when we were playing like this. That long off mid wicket for the right hander and even for the left hander tends to be very long, right? We didn't maximize that. We didn't maximize. Okay, let's try and force their bowlers to get us to hit square when we should have been doing that. And I'm not sure if you noticed. The following qualifying games after that, especially against Ireland and UAE and all that, there was a conversation we had with the batters, and we said we want to target the square boundaries because they're the short ones. Target the square boundaries. Don't allow them to force you to hit straight. So if they're bowling full, use the crease to walk across and hit square, or hit off or hit leg, but hit square. I'm not sure if you remember Kusal Mendes in that Island game. A lot of the runs, he was just doing those pickup shots, those pickup shots that he's famous for. And he was hitting them all across because that was our goal. Our goal was target the square boundaries and make the short boundary. And we didn't. I think. In that sense, with the Namibia game, we could have done a lot better. We started slow. I think we came in maybe a little bit overconfident, possibly the players, after winning the Asia Cup as well, playing Namibia, we thought, it'll be a walkover. And it proved we couldn't. It was good. It gave us the realignment we needed to get back on track. And it did. End of the day, that World Cup, that Australia World Cup, we were one drop catch possibly away from making that semi-final, and we made the semi-final, and who knows, I might have still been with the team even now. It's a whole different ball game, right? But so it changes, things change. But
you mean in
terms of do I think the matchups match? No, I think the batting could have done a bit better.
You mean that drop catch against New Zealand, right? If I'm not mistaken, right?
Yes, Glenn Phillips. Glenn Phillips, yes.
I
will forever remember Glenn Phillips.
Yeah, exactly. He's a name to remember. Yeah, I was just checking that match also, still the Namibia. I think, Namibia scored 160. I think that partnership, between Jan Frinkling and JJ Smith, I think that partnership only changed because I think Namibia was 93 for 6, if I'm not mistaken. After that partnership took them to 163. So that really changed the match.
Correct. Exactly. We couldn't quite fully execute. I agree, and I think it really came down to be honest. I think our batting, we could have scored more on those runs. If you looked at the same pitch when we played the UAE, we played a lot better. We played pace. We targeted them. We just hit them harder. We should have done the same thing with Namibia, and I think we took it too easy.
Yeah, exactly. I think it's to do with the conditions and maybe just to adjust as well. It was just the first warm-up matches. I mean, the first qualifier matches. It's not excuses, but still, but still, I think they needed much longer to adapt to the conditions. I feel maybe, but I feel
maybe. But I never like to. I never like to think the conditions are an excuse because the conditions are the same for both teams, right? So
exactly.
It's really execution on the day.
Yeah, exactly. Also, Prad, since you work for LPL, before we come to the main topic, I just want to, I have a real query, especially with the 2022 and 2023 auctions in the LPL. And since you were also analyst for one of the teams, I just want to know, how come, Pathum Nisanka, Kusal Pereira, these players don't get picked in the first round of the auction? This has always been my biggest query, and I didn't have anyone to ask, but I think you might be the best person to know this because I know Pathum Nisanka has a very low strike rate back then, in 2021, 2022, but he was consistent with the runs. He was scoring runs, but yes, he may have not been scoring at that 130 or 140 strike rate. But who was our best opener back then? It was Pathum Nisanka. He was in the Sri Lanka team back then, in the 2020 team, and he was our regular opener. But I don't understand why the LPL owners or the analysts don't even consider Pathum Nisanka in the first round of the LPL auctions. That has always been on my mind, especially Nisanka, and even Kusal Pereira in one of the auctions wasn't even picked in the first round. So it's a huge query when other players get picked, and these players like Nisanka don't get even picked just because based on their strike rate or whatever. So your thoughts on that as a analyst in one of the LPL teams? Yeah.
Look,
Yeah.
the particular auction you're talking about where Pathum wasn't selected in the first round was the year after me. I wasn't involved in that year, so I'm not sure what exactly happened that year. It was I was involved only in the first year of the auction. In that first year of the auction, we actually picked. I was with Dambulla Aura at the time, where Sanath was head coach and I was the analyst. We picked Kusal Pereira in the first round. The conversation on Kusal Pereira, even with us, it was a last minute pick. I remember this very clearly, and that was because at the time we had done our planning. Kusal Pereira was on our list as a backup plan if we missed out on a couple of players, and we got all the players we needed at the time because we expected Kusal Pereira to go for a lot more. Right, I think his price at the time was $50,000. His entry price.
Yeah,
and we expected him to go. We thought we thought a lot of teams are going to bid on him, and it's going to go up $60,000-$75,000. And because he was a backup player, we didn't want to spend that much money on that, right? So what happened with Kusal Pereira in the first auction with Dambulla Aura when we signed him was what happened was we were at the auction. His name came up, and we thought all these teams are going to go and bid for him and all that. No one did, and it went down to the last couple of seconds. When we realized, hang on, no one's bidding on him, and he's still available at 40,000 or 50,000, whatever it was. And then we put up our paddle at the last minute, and we signed him because we got him for cheaper than we expected. So if we knew he was going to go for that much or lower, we would have probably bid for him anyways. But anyway, we got him at the 40,000. So it came to a price point and a budget situation, and we signed him. Pathum Nisanka in the first auction as well, same thing. Once again, his entry price was like $40,000 or $50,000, quite high. And we were looking for, at the time, by the time he came, we had particular players that we had targeted. So, don't forget, our pre-auction signed players were Kusal Mendis and Amshika Fernando. So we had two openers already.
Two openers,
Yeah, then the first player we signed and we spent a lot of money, I think $70,000 to $75,000 on was DDS, right?
Yeah.
We can also open if we need. So because of that, with Pathum, we felt that we didn't want to sign him just yet because we had a lot of players that can play. Pathum's the kind of player that either opens or doesn't play in the 11. You're not going to play Pathum at 4, 5, 6, right? Either he opens or he doesn't play. So we didn't want to. That's the risk we didn't want to take at that time. But back then, Colombo strikers bid on him early, and I don't think people wanted to get into a bidding war for Pathum. So I think and he did go. I think went up to about $50,000 or $60,000, and then ended up being sold. And we didn't think it was worth the price at the time. In terms of that second auction, I wasn't part of it, but I had the exact same thoughts as you. Pathum should have gone in that first round. Kusal Pereira, maybe, I don't know. It depends on combinations, depends on budgets, depends on where they felt Kusal was going to add a value or not. But Kusal Pereira also should have probably gone in that first round. But definitely Pathum should have gone.
Yeah. Also, your thoughts on getting Sadira also in that LPL, because I think Sadira was in that auction. Sadira was with Jaffna, if I'm not mistaken, the previous season, and Dambulla bought him. So your thoughts regarding on getting Sadira as well in that?
So Sadira back then was also in quite good form. I'm not sure if you remember. He had a good season.
He did. He had a good.
He had just broken into the national team. He was doing well. Once again, we signed him because we had a clear role for him, right? So we identified we wanted Kusal Mendis to open with, I think Avishka was batting. I can't remember right now off the top of my head who was opening with Kusal Mendis. But anyways, we had Sadira to go in that 4-5 role. We wanted him to be the anchor role so that it allows the like of Kusal Mendis and Avishka to play their game, to play the aggressive game. So you had a Sadira to go. So we identified the role. So Sadira was one of us. So Sadira, DDS, those guys were our main targets that we said, whatever happens, we're going to bid hard for these guys. DDS we wanted because of his flexibility. He could bat anywhere in the top 6. He can bowl in the first 6 overs with the new ball, and he's a brilliant fielder, and he's got experience. So in Sri Lanka, there are only 2 off spinners in the national team that can bowl in the first power play with the new ball and control the ball. One is Mahesh Theekshana, second one is DDS. So that's why. And we knew Jaffna had already signed Mahesh Theekshana, and we wanted a spin option in the first 6 overs. And I told Sanath at the time, the only other bowler who can bowl in that first 6 and control the ball is DDS. So we went hard for DDS, and we got DDS. Sadira also, we had a clear role. He was our key backup keeper for Kusal Mendis, but also he could play that anchor role that we can build the team around. And so we can build hitters around him. So we went hard for Sadira also.
Last question before we come to the main topic. I'm just checking this Dambulla Aura team, and that time I was also thinking also, why have you gone, why did the team go for many Australian overseas players? Because you guys had Alex Ross, Matthew Wade, if I'm not mistaken. I don't think he played though. Hayden Kerr. Like these players,
Ben
why
McDermott
did you target Ben McDermott? Why primarily like Australian overseas players in your team mainly?
Okay, so the biggest reason we wanted, it wasn't Australian players. We were looking for particular roles, right? So a lot of the teams, our strategy, which I remember discussing this with Sanath, was I told Sanath, we can go 2 ways, right? Initially, our pre-signed foreign players are Matthew Wade and Lungi Ngidi, the South African fast bowler. Right? Both of them, I think, backed up due to injuries and different reasons. Then we had our budget. So our budget then was we had to sign a pre-signed player, which to replace Lungi Ngidi, which we signed Hassan Ali. So it was a foreign fast bowler for a foreign fast bowler. We did that. For Matthew Wade, we went for Ben McDermott. Once again, was a pre-signed. I wasn't involved with it. I think it was to do with we just needed a foreign. We could keep a batter is what we wanted to try and target, and we got that with Ben McDermott. The other foreign players we signed were all targeted. We specifically targeted. So we had Noor Ahmed, we had Hayden Kerr, we had Alex Ross. Trying to think, we had the other Pakistani fast bowler. I've forgotten his name now.
Shahnawaz Dahani, right? Yeah,
Shahnawaz Dahani as well. So all of those, we said Sri Lankan fast bowlers we knew were at a premium because there's only very few. I think you had Dushman Shamira, Laiva Kumara, Patira that was already pre-signed. So a lot of they were a premium. So we wanted a foreign fast bowler. But I'll take it a step back. Before we did any of that, our goal was we weren't going to overspend on the foreign players. Because when you look at the playing 11, you can only play, I think 3 players or 4 players as a foreign, right?
Yeah.
The 7 have to be local. So we said, let's spend most of our money on getting solid local players. Then we can fill the roles that we're missing with foreign players that will just do a job. We just wanted them to come in and do a job, right? We'll win the game with the 7 and we'll get the other 4 to back up with the job they'll do. So we identified what are the roles we needed. Well, we needed a foreign fast bowler. That's where we went for Shahnawaz Dahani. We needed someone who can get cheap enough that can bowl pace, bowl quick, and just be a backup of a fast bowler for us. So he was there. Then with Noor Ahmed, we actually wanted a left arm spinner, right? We would have loved to get Bellalage. That was one of our targets, but we couldn't. So Noor Ahmed was also a backup, and then we also had the right to match Khada Noor Ahmed. And I think came Noor Ahmed or someone else, and Noor Ahmed came first. And I think by then we had got majority of our team. So we said, let's not take the risk. Let's just play our right to match and take Noor Ahmed. That way we lock in our left arm spin option, and we signed Noor Ahmed. Now Hayden Kerr and Alex Ross, they were interesting to signing. So how they came about they were referred or brought. The idea of them was brought to the team by both myself and Sean Tate with our Australian experience. We had seen them play. I had watched them play live at the Big Bash, so we knew them and we knew the role they can do. So in our pre-planning meeting, we watched a lot of video on them. Hayden Kerr is a player that can bat anywhere in the top 7. He can play any role.
Exactly.
And when bowling, he opens the batting. He can bat anywhere. He can bat anywhere. And with the bowling, he's not express pace, but he can land the ball just where you need. So in that overs between 6 to 16, if you need a couple of pace just to land the ball and get through a couple of overs, he was able to do the role, and his slow balls are good and this that. So We used him exactly for that. For example, I'm not sure you remember, David Miller was his all big talk player that Jaffna had signed, but they were expecting big things, right?
Exactly.
Both the games, Dambulla Aura played Jaffna Kings. We gave the job to Hayden Kerr. We said, Hayden, this is your job. Slow ball, full outside off, you'll get him out. Both times he got him out. Both times slow ball, full outside off. Both times. And both times we got him out for a very low score, right? So we had perfect roles for Hayden Kerr. Alex Ross, same thing. He was a middle order hitter that can hit and a brilliant fielder. That's all we needed. And he came and he delivered the role. And the other thing with the reason why we went for Aussies was Sanath wanted players that were going to come and take it seriously. And we knew Aussies were very, they don't mess around. They come, they deliver the job, and they perform at a high level. And so he was happy to back these Aussies, and they did the job. They didn't have any superstar innings or anything like that, but we did a job.
Yeah. Also on that final, I think you guys played against, Dambulla played against Beloved Candy. I think Beloved Candy was, I think it was a nail-biting match also, that match where Dambulla could have won, but I think if I'm not mistaken, I think it was, Kamindu's knock, and then at the end also they somehow managed to win. Even Matthews also played. But thoughts on that final though, because that was a very interesting final, a nail-biting final. I just also want to know, because you were in the dressing room as well, how that final unfolded.
Yeah, I mean, so just with that final, actually, unfortunately, I had to leave the team. I was there with the team up until the final, and unfortunately, due to family commitments, I had left just before the final. I had to go back to Australia. I had a few family commitments I need to be at. But I had still prepared the team. I'd done all the prep work. I just wasn't there only on the day, basically. On the day, what happened was, I think I wasn't there on the day. I think I can't quite remember exactly, but I felt, if I remember right, I think the chase. Beloved Candy really knew how to chase. I think we couldn't quite break that partnership, if I remember, with Angela Matthews. He turned up in the game. So I'm not sure exactly on the day how it was in the dressing room. I wasn't quite there. I wish I was, and it's one of my regrets, because in a way I hope I was there, and if I could have made a difference, but so be it.
Yeah. All right, Prad, let's quickly go into the Sri Lanka Cricket right now, the settings of Sri Lanka Cricket, since we have a few minutes remaining. Let's just talk about Sri Lanka Cricket in 2020 in general. I have a few questions to ask, especially on the selections right now. Especially, it's good to hear finally that Avishka Fernando is finally being dropped after all those horrendous stats that he had. I don't know why they've been keeping on trusting in Avishka, because since the 2021-2020 World Cup, I don't know, Mahela put him to number 4, and then after that they kept him as number 4. Then he performs from LPL. First of all, I want to ask Prad, because I am so confused, because I know that they're basing off these players from LPL stats and all that, but LPL has been done 10 months ago, and then you have a SLC major tournament. I know it's 50 overs, limited overs. They didn't have the 2020 tournament yet, but still, based on how they're performing, I don't understand why they keep on backing players like Avishka, Charmika. These players haven't been performing that well in international cricket. Yes, they might be performing in domestic, but when it comes to Sri Lanka cricket, they haven't been performing. But I don't understand why have they been given this much of chances when there are other players who are able, and there's so many young talents right now who are performing right now, and still they're giving chances to Avishka Fernando and Charmika, and going back to basically the players that they were trusting back in 2021, 2022, and they failed, and they're again trusting them. So any thoughts on that, Prad? Yeah.
Look, why the current team management selectors choose who they are, I mean, only they'll know their reasoning. They might have had a certain plan that they're following, and they wanted to follow that. And maybe we'll never know. It's a question for them. However, what we cannot forget is we've had 2 full years now. If we want to change it now and introduce young players, so there's 2 things, right? I'll address the first. This is the first thing I'll address. If we want to introduce young players now, players who haven't made their debut to the team with 6 months ago before the World Cup, there's nothing stopping us. But personally, I wouldn't do it. You're going to burn another player. You're going to burn another player. You're going to burn another young player who's going to come in, have to go to this World Cup, and be expected to perform. And if they fail, what happens? You look. I'll give you a perfect example.
Yeah.
I'll give you a couple of names: Siobhan Daniel, Lasith Cruz.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay, you have these players there that are coming in, and I can see that this answering this question by Natalie here. Can we debut new players numbers 3 and 4? Right. You look at those players; they're nowhere to be seen. Yeah, they're selected in this upcoming invitational T20 tournament, right? But we burnt them, right? So if you're gonna, can you imagine introducing a Vishen Halambage to the side to come in at number 3 or 4 and tell him, okay, Malli, you're going to come in, you're going to play 3 and 4, and we're going to back you to play. Right now, he fails. Let's say he goes to Zimbabwe, he gets, say he fails. Best case scenario, yes, he does well, great, no problem. But let's say he fails. Okay. What does Sri Lanka cricket do then? They're going to go back to the old trusted ways, anyways, right? And then the players are also going to the fans are also going to be like, well, these guys are failing, right? So it's a matter of I don't think right now is the best time to debut new players before World Cup. I'm not sure we can debut them, but let's not debut them with the expectation that they're going to play the World Cup. Alternatively, my option is, I'm not saying Avishka, Fernando, or any particular player. What I'm saying is have a pool of experienced, let us say experienced, not overly experienced. I'm just saying players even that have played 5, 10, 15 T20s, have this pool of players. So even the likes of Lasith Cruz and Siobhan Daniel, who have been in and around, have them in the pool, try them out here and there. We're going to Zimbabwe, okay, try them in 1 or 2 teams. Try one of the players in that series. If that doesn't work, we've got Ireland coming. Try another player in that series. Just try them out, but try the experienced players and let them build some momentum. Right? Get some momentum before they go to the World Cup. They have got experience playing in these experienced, playing against these experienced players, playing against the likes. You've got to remember, if you go to the World Cup, you're not playing Zimbabwe and Ireland only. You're playing some top-notch teams with their best 11. So you can't expect the guys like Vishen Halambage, who have been playing club cricket here in Sri Lanka and playing CCC and Bluefield and SSC, to go to wherever, Ahmedabad, and face up against Jasprit Bumrah. Exactly. And then expect him to do what he's doing for police against SSC. It's not going to work, right? So it's a bit unrealistic in that sense. Answering your other question around how we need to approach it is effectively we need to be a lot more. Like I said before, we need to just be. Okay, accept what we have, accept the guys we have, and build around them. So, okay, Avishka Fernando has failed. Let's drop him, no problem. Okay, what are other number 4 options? Instead of looking for a batter who can bat number 4, look for a game plan that we can build around the guys we have. Do you get what I mean? So don't worry about looking for a number 4 batter. Let's put down a list of our guys that are performing well. Okay, you got Patum, Kusal Mendes, Kusal Pereira, Banuka, Charita Salanka, whoever, Dananja, whoever you want. Let's put the list together. Right, we've got all these players. Okay, so what is our game? Forget number 4. Forget the numbers before the players. We with these players, we think we can get 160, 170. Great. Okay, how are we going to get the 160, 170? Okay, we're going to get Patum and Kusal to get us here. We're going to get this player to get us there. Have those players. Have a structure. Forget the number 3, number 4. Have the structure. Follow the structure. Follow that story. Don't worry about number 3, 4, 5, 6. Forget that is just a position. Have a structure that will deliver the results we need. Where at the moment, we're building a team based on positions. But in T20 cricket, it's not about that. And even now, we're still doing it. Pavan Ratnayake is great. I think he needs to be given a chance, right? I agree. However, However, if you just throw him at number 4 and he fails, what happens? That's my question to you. What happens? What do we do? Right? Instead of that, give Pavan Ratnayake a role around everyone else. Let's see whether he can play that role, and go from there.
Yeah. 2 questions before wrapping it up. I just want to ask, because based on this also, can we go back to Chandimal and Matthews right now, especially experienced players like them? Because both of them, yes, I know Chandimal doesn't have the great stats, and he was tried also in the recent series also, and then he failed as well. But especially Angelo Matthews, I think he has 6 months left. He did well in the last LPL. I know his fitness hasn't been that great, but he said that he's willing to do whatever he can for the 2026-2020 World Cup. But can we go back to Chandimal or Matthews, especially Matthews at number 4, or Do we go back to Bhanuka Rajapaksa? There is Kamindu Mendis, who's been dropped
Yeah.
here and there, not given a consistent run. He had a very good IPL. Because of injury, he was been dropped by SRH, but that's because of injury. And still, when it comes to Sri Lanka, he's not being given a good run even in that Bangladesh series. So I don't really understand why they're not giving consistent runs for even Kamindu. Even that, it doesn't make sense at all. Yeah.
Yeah. Look, so there's three players here, right? Chandimal, Matthews, and Kamindu. If you're asking me, I will go with Kamindu. That's my bet. I would, from the Zimbabwe series now, I would tell Kamindu, you're going to bat 4, and give him all of the Zimbabwe series, see how he goes. If he does semi-okay, keep him for the Island series and just roll with that, right? Yeah. I would Kamindu would be my first choice. In terms of Chandimal and Matthews, I'm not saying we discard them. I'm saying we do keep them. And Matthews is actually not retired from white ball format, I think, for this reason. He's in and around the squad in the sense of they want to use him for a backup. But once again, comes down to the role. What are we asking of those players? Okay. Yeah. So the reason why is, okay, if we're going to play Matthews at 4, great. What are we looking to get out of that 4 position? So it's this, what I'm saying is there's no point asking Matthews to play a number 4 if that particular role for the team is not going to suit him. Same with Kamindu. So Kamindu as well. Okay, if we're playing Kamindu at 4 and we're telling we want the number 4 player to be like a attacker from ball 1, no point playing Kamindu at 4. Right? So we have to be clear. The only reason I'm going with Kamindu at 4 is because he's young. We need to invest in him. Remember I was telling you before, he's got that 15, 20, 25, whatever number of T20s already played. So he has that experience.
Exactly. Yes, exactly.
He's a good fielder. He can and he can bowl. Right? So he ticks all those boxes. So back him at 4. Right? Back him at 4. Yeah. Then over the series, see where are the other holes also coming up. So you've got Pratham, Kusal Mendes, Kusal Pereira coming to 4, Charit at 5. Then that's your top 5 sorted for at least the Zimbabwe series. That's the top 5 I would go for. And then play around those top 5 depending on the roles. Now, so for example, you like you said, we talked about Chandimal, we talked about Bhanuka Rajapaksa, we talked about Angela Matthews. Have them not within the squad at least, but have them as a backup in Sri Lanka, right? So we go, okay, cool. So if the next series, if we now Kusal Pereira, we've given him a run. Now let's say he fails in Zimbabwe. What is our backup plan? There's no point coming to Sri Lanka and then panicking and coming to the media and saying this and that. No point. Have a plan. So just okay, if KJP fails at 3. Who's going to be our next person at 3 that we want to try? Is it going to be Chandimal at 3? Is it going to be Matthews at 3? Is it going to be Bhanuka Rajapaksa at 3? Have those. So then go, okay, next series. And then when you're going, so if he fails, you say, no, this is our plan. We want to continue to back Kusal. He has failed. Our next series, our plan is to now try Chandimal or whoever, or a young player, whoever it is, but try them at 3 or try move Kamindu at 2-3 and see what happens. Right? Yeah. So that's your 5. And then you've got Dasun Shanaka coming in at 6, possibly. And then depending on the what sort of bowling combination you want, you'll go maybe 1 into 7, and then whether you play Lalage at 8, you got multiple options there.
Yeah. Last question to wrap this up. How do you see the chances for Sri Lanka in this upcoming 2020 World Cup? Because it's at home, Sri Lanka, India. Because I feel like personally, I don't know. Like I thought like Sri Lanka can go to the semi-finals, seeing this team, but after the Bangladesh series, I think we have to go back to reality, seeing whether we can even make it to the Super 8s even at this stage with the way that we are playing. And especially because it's at home, we should take the advantage and play well at home. But I really don't know, in my opinion, seeing how Sri Lanka will perform. But what's your thoughts regarding the next year's 2020 World Cup?
Look, I'll put it this way. If we don't make the semi-final, regardless, I'm saying even as of today, right? Even after losing the Bangladesh series, if we don't make the semi-final next year's World Cup, it is a failure. Full stop. Right? Let's be real. Okay. We were expected to make the semi-final at the World Cup in Australia after winning the Asia Cup.
Okay.
Right?
All right.
Okay. And it's the exact same bunch of players that are still there. So they've got a lot more experience. The current management and the current selectors have had 2 full years to build this side with an experienced bunch, right? We went to the Australia World Cup in 2022 with half as much experience. And the expectation was that we were supposed to make the semi-final. Why? Because we won the Asia Cup. right?
Yeah.
Which is fine.
Yeah.
So if you're going to expect that of that side, me personally, if Sri Lanka doesn't make the semi-final in 2026, I think it's a pure failure. We've got the side.
Okay.
I'll be honest. When I was with the team, we had this World Cup in mind. Obviously, we planned thinking that we're going to be there. Our plan was our plan within our management. Our goal was we had to make the semi-final at home. You're playing at home. We knew the same bunch of players were going to be around, so we wanted to continue to back them, give them more experience, and we were confident we were going to make the semi-final. So if these guys don't make the semi-final, I think there's no excuse. You can't give any excuse. The coaching staff, from the selectors, everyone has been around for two full years, right? The players have been. Charita Sri Lanka's had been captain for long enough. Players have been around long enough. There is no excuse now. I'll be waiting to see what the excuses are going to be. Even if they come and say, "Oh, we had injuries," I'm going to say you had 2 full years to build backup plans. Okay, Dushmantha Chamira is injured. You had Matisha Patirana. Matisha Patirana is injured. You had Nuwaindu Shara. If Nuwaindu Shara is injured, you have so many other players you can go.
Exactly.
So even injuries is not going to be an excuse. So really, SLC have no excuse other than to make the semi-final. Either to make the semi-final or you fail. And I think I'd like to see SLC take some responsibility if they fail and put their hand up and say, yes, we failed. But that won't happen. But I like to see.
So even Super 8s won't be enough for you to be happy with how...
No. We're playing at home, right, Pavan?
Yeah.
We're playing at home. We're playing at home. Our guys have a lot more experience. I think if we don't make the semi-final, I think we've failed. Personally, I think. That's
fair enough. Even I'm expecting Sri Lanka to go to the semi-finals, even if it's at home. So I totally respect your point.
And also you got to remember, a lot of our guys have got a lot more IPL experience now as well.
Exactly.
So we've got a lot of experience here.
And especially the bowling. The bowling is like one of the best, I think, in the world right now with the fast bowlers and spinners. We have 2 of the best spinners in Tikshan and Hasaranga, fast bowlers. Chamira, Tushara, Patirana. Even Binura is good. Asita Fernando is good. We have all the fast bowling options as well. So we have to deliver. It's like do or die right now for Sri Lanka cricket.
Exactly. So I think I think I'll be honest. I think Sri Lanka cricket is getting a little nervous, which is why they've advertised for a lot of new foreign coaches to come in. Because I think they know the pressure's on that they need to be in that semi-final, or it's going to be a failure.
All right. Thank you so much, Prad, once again for joining. I know you've been very busy, but thank you so much for sharing your insights and on Sri Lanka cricket, and especially on 2020 cricket, and it's really much appreciated from you.
No worries. Thank you so much for having me, Pavan.
All right, guys. Thank you so much. Please to subscribe to this post breakdown. Please like, comment, and share on this video. And we'll see you in another video. Until then, guys, goodbye and have a good day.